Hello everybody and welcome to my channel about chronic illness. Today I wanted to make a video about how about one of the theories of how chronic illness can be explained to people. This theory was developed by a girl that I can't remember her name. I only read about it the other day, and it's like the spoon analysis. So I've got major brain fog right now, so this is like a really good representation, I feel like, of someone who has chronic illness trying to explain something to somebody. So I'm going to talk about the spoon metaphor or analogy or whatever it is, and why sometimes people with fibromyalgia or other chronic illnesses can be called spoonies. I saw this when I was looking for some sort of t-shirt or jumper that said something about fibromyalgia that made me feel like I could own it and be proud of it and represent or whatever. And I kept on seeing all these t-shirts that were like running low on spoons or like stuff about that, and I was like, what does that mean? Why are we spoonies? Like, what does that mean? Does that mean we like hug people? Or like, what does that mean? So I was confused. So I did some digging. That website was not a bad call though, because I did get a jumper that said the only good thing about migraines is that zombies won't want my brain. And I appreciate that, because that's more good news than a doctor has ever told me. I'm like, they will come out at you like, I'm sorry, there's nothing we can do, there's no cure, there's no whatever, but I'm like, you could add in some positives there, like, at least zombies won't want to eat you, because I'd appreciate that, like, even if they're joking, or, I mean, to me, that's a serious thing, like, no zombie attack, yay, I'd appreciate that, but they don't, they're always just like, there's nothing we can do, I'm sorry, there's no, you are very young, but no, there's nothing, they are funny, no, but the, anyway, so, but I'm very muddled up. I'm making this is the first video I'm making, but I'm planning to release a video first explaining what fibromyalgia is, and then maybe talk a bit more about other chronic illnesses later on, because I'm not an expert on things I haven't been through, which is the same for everybody in life, I think. So think of this like the Star Wars movies, like they made them in the wrong order, and the prequels were worse, so this might be as good as you're gonna get, in which case, I'm sorry. What am I on about? Okay, yeah. So, Spoonies, because... we're known as Spoonies because what she explained was she was sitting in a coffee shop and her friend was asking her about what chronic illness is, or I don't know whether it was fibromyalgia or whether it was ME or what it was. But she reached for some spoons and used those to explain, and it's become quite a good explanation. She basically said when you wake up in the morning, you have, for example, 6 spoons. And it's not always 6 spoons. You can have a different... You wake up different days, you have a certain number of spoons. And to do things, you have to use a spoon. So spoons are like bursts of energy. And people with chronic illness don't have that sort of like solid, like, I'm really, really shaky. They don't have that sort of solid flow of energy through the day. So you wake up, getting out of bed, for me, some days, or most days, will take a spoon and a half. So that's that gone before you've like actually properly stretched and yay, it's a new day. And then you wanna go read, for me, I read my scriptures in the morning, so that takes probably another 2 spoons, because you've got to like slap yourself awake and concentrate, and that takes a couple of spoons. And then you go have a bath, and then that takes another spoon. Dry your hair, because my hair doesn't dry on its own like ever if I don't leave it for like the whole day. So sometimes I don't bother, and then I've got another spoon saved. But basically everything you decide to do during a day uses a spoon, but you have a very limited supply. So you have to choose and plan very carefully what you're going to do during a day and what you can't do. And if you end up having to do something that you didn't plan on, then you end up wiped out, and you can't, like, people are like, but you said you could do something, and you end up having to cancel plans, and like often you use all your spoons getting ready to go out that you can't actually go out. So I talked to my dad yesterday about something that I thought was really interesting, and he was saying that you can borrow spoons, because quite often you can do too much in a day, which for someone with chronic illness isn't a lot to do too much. And then what happens is that you can't do anything for the next 2 weeks. You're stuck in bed, you can't move, it's too painful. And then, so what you've done is you've borrowed spoons for the next 2 weeks, and you can't do anything. So that's another thing that can happen. But you have to make decisions on what you can and cannot do. That's all I've got time for today. So that is why we are called Spoonies.